reverb, delay, chorus, overdrive, vibrato. All of these effects can help you when you're designing sound or you're trying to create something new. If you're trying to go into a trance and turning on a modulated delay, or if you're trying to stand out from the rest of the pack and you hit your fuzz face. Guitar effect pedals, they make the world more interesting. They make sound design fun, and they really help expand what it means to be a musician. Today we are sitting down with one of the most prolific demoers for pedals on YouTube. Ryan Lutton, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff.
So as you can hear from my janky opening, I'm a bit of a dweeb when it comes to guitar effect pedals. But I have to admit, some of that is because of your videos, which were very convincing on having me part with my money so I can get some of these pedals.
I get that comment quite a bit on videos saying, what was the latest one? Basically saying, you're a friend to me, but you're an enemy to my wallet.
Yep, that's it, absolutely.
I was a bit like, sorry.
Well, how about you tell us a little bit about how you got started with guitar pedals, maybe some music that you're into, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. When I started guitar quite a while before I had even really used pedals, because I mainly started playing acoustic guitar, and I never even realized you could use pedals with acoustic guitar. And then when I got into it, it was when I was kind of in my heavy metal phase, and I bought like what was the pedal called? A Digitech death metal pedal. And it was, I don't know, it wasn't really my bag. I didn't really understand how it worked. It sounded really horrible the way I was using it. So then it kind of evolved from there. I got into making more ambient style things. And I made a pedal board. I started making a pedal board with the purpose of ambient music. And then through that, I kind of realized how pedals can change guitar completely. And then I started making these long ambient videos. Any reverb pedal I got, I just dial the reverb time up to the max it would go, and just make kind of ambient style tracks. I just wanted to make guitar. I wanted to see how much a pedal board could turn a guitar into a synthesizer in a weird way. So now I try and do a lot of the guitar things. Having a demo channel, you don't really want to just demo things the way you want. You want to kind of give people a broad view of how you can use a pedal. But mainly, that's the whole reason I got into pedals, particularly because I was just interested in how they could change the sound of my guitar drastically.
Nice. Yeah, I have to admit, that's a little bit of how I came into pedals as well. Something about, especially when you start off playing in a particular style that's not so effect laden, and then maybe a couple years into it, you come into like your first big bad reverb pedal, or like your first modulation pedal, like a phaser or something, and then it takes you into a completely different world of composition.
Yeah, exactly. I'm much more into I'm much less into like tone based pedals, like distortions and overdrives. I think they're fantastic, but I'm just happy with the sound of my guitar, like the cleanish guitar tone. And then I'm just into creating something behind it, like so it can turn just the guitar into a bit more, you know what I mean? Like essentially like creating your own backing track or something. I love that kind of stuff because it's very immersive when you're playing to get I don't know, it becomes like a massive wall of sound, and you're just like, yes, this is great. I love all that stuff.
I know
So reverbs, delays, they're definitely my thing over anything else. I think much prefer it.
Nice. We'll get into the topic of time-based effects because, believe me, they're some of my favorites too. But I wanted to touch on a comment that you just made. You said that when you're making a demo for your channel, you try to look at it from like a broad perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go right back to your early days of YouTube. I've been following your channel for a few years now. I believe the first video of yours that I came across was either the reverb or the echo machine. I believe it was the Behringer echo machine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the green one. And I remember I was looking for, because I was getting back into guitar after some time, and I was looking at like what pedals are people using nowadays. When I was playing before, pedals weren't that big of a thing. And now to see like everyone like with all these cool pedals and the YouTube scene of demoing, it was so interesting. But I was really drawn to how you presented your demos because you looked at every single stage of the pedal, every single mode. You, like you said, used a clean tone, and it just seemed very, not clinical, but very informative of what it means to have this pedal on your board and what the pedal does itself, not just trying to show off how you play with the pedal. Could you tell us a little bit about the start of your journey with YouTube until now?
Well, the start of demoing?
Yes. We'll talk about the ambient stuff as well, don't worry.
The start of demoing kind of came about through a bit of frustration, to be honest. Not that I am taking a dig at any other YouTubers who have been doing it longer than me, but I always found that when I wanted to buy anything, I would always get kind of very, how would you say, like product videos, where everything was kind of like studio lit quality, and they have that guy's voice doing the "if you want to buy this" kind of vibe, and they would show the pedals sound, but they wouldn't really explore it. And if something like the Echo Machine, it's quite in depth. Like it's massive, that pedal, because it has like, I don't know, 12 settings, and then 3 different types of delay for each thing. So there's so many different things you can do. So when you're looking at demo videos for stuff like that, I always found myself a little frustrated with the fact I could never find a demo that I felt showed what a product could do. So when I didn't actually mean to start demoing, it was just I kind of thought, I hope this helps someone. And I sat down and made a video. I think that was actually one of my first ever demos, because the video is quite dated. It's not really the same as my current style where I show like controls and stuff. I did the controls on annotations, and then YouTube removed annotations. So I spent hours explaining all the settings, and then YouTube just got rid of it. And I was like, great. But basically, yeah, it just started that way. I thought it would be kind of nice to just create videos that showed pedals a bit more in depth. So there were people doing that, but they often didn't do it. They didn't record it through an audio interface or something. They would just have a handheld camera and they were recording. So you didn't get really an idea of how it sounded without the, hiss from a phone back then. So yeah, it just started out of wanting to put something on the internet that I didn't think was already there, basically.
I see. Yeah, I do remember the earlier days of YouTube when the first few demos would come out, and it was interesting, I have to admit. Yeah, I don't miss those days at all.
There's a lot of I see this comment online all the time. There's a lot of the early demos were just a lot of someone playing a blues riff over and over again through like the same kind of blues riff through different distortion pedals. And it was kind of true. You would always be like, oh, I just want to hear someone, go proper heavy metal on this or something, or go really ambient, and it didn't really, it just didn't happen that much. But I think that's mainly because a lot of the people who were posting worked for like bigger shops and stuff. So they were just demoing their inventory to try and sell. And then they just put stuff on YouTube anyway. I don't think there were that many people who were just demoing out of their house as like, you know, guitar pedal enthusiasts kind of thing. There's probably a handful, but it's definitely it's definitely improved because loads of people do it now, which is nice. It's kind of cool to see all the pedal community come out and demoing things in different ways. It makes pedals a lot more interesting, I think, to people.
Yes, I agree. It's better now, and we have more social media platforms now. Even something like Instagram or TikTok, you can get different aspects and different perspectives about the sound for a pedal. Like I like design. I can stare at a pedal for 20 minutes just appreciating how it looks. And I like that on Instagram, there are very good photographers that can pick up on the fact that aesthetic is also important for a pedal, not just when it's on the board, but how it's presented when it's sitting in the windowsill of a guitar shop, how it looks like when you're on Sweetwater or Amazon and you're checking out a pedal. So I do appreciate parts of that. But I personally, I appreciate the direction that demoers are going, and with your channel, I see the change over time as well. You do have a particular aesthetic, but you're going in a slightly different direction recently, and you're much more prolific with the amount of videos that you're doing. When did you realize that what you were contributing to the community was something that was so pivotal for many of us when it came to purchases?
I think comments, really. I mean, I read a lot of comments. I don't really neglect that side of YouTube. I'm always looking at comments and seeing what people are saying. And you just get these different comments saying that this demo made me buy this pedal, or I get very strange ones like, I use this demo to get to sleep at night, which kind of is a bit strange, but cool. So yeah, I just thought it's, I know, just seeing community feedback mainly is how I realized that they were a useful thing to people. And I think that's just why I kept doing them. As for posting more, I think that's a thing I can thank coronavirus for, because I've had a lot more time at home. So I've just been demoing a lot more. I'm also making, as the channel kind of grew, I got more income from it, and I decided rather than keep most of that as an income, I'd put it back into the channel. So I use it to buy more gear to demo and things like that. But yeah, it's quite an intense schedule at the moment. I think it's four days a week I'm uploading, which is a bit mad.
Yeah, that's a lot. 4. And you put a lot of effort into your videos too.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it's an interesting thing because like I said, when I started that Echo machine pedal, I didn't really I just sat it down and put a camera on it and then recorded it. And now I'm trying to get better at the whole production side of things, because I never really, that's something I'm trying to teach myself. So in the last few years, I've tried to up my game at that quite a bit. Like I bought another camera so I could film me playing guitar, because my earlier videos don't even show me playing. It's just the pedal. I've got lights and things like that. And I'm trying to improve it one step at a time, but I'm learning it as I go, really.
And the content you make all throughout that is still very useful to us. So I'm grateful for what you do. And I also think it's cool when you added that the second camera, because it's so self-aware, but also very interesting when a YouTuber is purposely trying to up their game but still stay truthful to how they originally started, right? We all do feel nostalgic for our original aesthetics, but of course you want to grow as a creative, you want to grow as your fan base and your engagement with the people coming to your page grows. So
Yeah, it's a kind of fascinating thing because you don't really want to make the same thing over and over again, but you also don't want to change it too much because there's something that people find interesting about these videos. So I want to keep that, but then I also want to make changes that people will appreciate without it losing the original appreciation. I think that's what's so interesting about and important about listening to just user feedback. I mean, the reason I decided to add the second camera, I mean, it seems kind of obvious in hindsight, but it never really occurred to me. But the reason I decided to add it was because I kept getting comments saying, can you tab out this guitar part for me? And I was kind of thinking, if I show the guitar, maybe I'll get less people asking me to tab the videos. It didn't really work, but people seem to enjoy watching the guitar as well, rather than just listening.
Yeah, it does add a little bit to the video. I'm going to admit, when you see someone playing,
yeah, it makes it more something to watch, I think. But I've always wanted to have the pedal quite large on the screen, because I think it's useful to people who like messing around with pedals to see what settings I'm playing. I did a few Boss videos, and I get a few comments on that video which say I come back to this video for like setting ideas and stuff. So it's that kind of thing. I think if you make a video that's a bit more interactive and does its job in more ways than one, it makes content that people come back to, which is good.
It's funny you say that. Where is it?
You got a pedal bookcase.
Yeah, I had to keep it on hand when I'm talking to you, the master, right? I have a marine layer reverb that when I purchased it, it kind of stuck around for a few months. I wasn't really sure how to utilize it. I think it's a very unique pedal, and I like the approach that Fender took with the algorithms on it. But I did have trouble trying to figure out what settings would work. And it was your video that really helped me out, because you were looking at it from the perspective of what is the marine layer reverb. You weren't thinking about it like how I was, which was, how does this fit in with my 8 other pedals on my board? How does this fit in comparison to how I've developed other reverb-based parts for my guitar before? And I think that is something of value with your channel that a lot of people don't realize or pick up on, and those that do, that's why they keep on coming back to your videos. And another thing I do like about your channel is that not only do you showcase the pedal, but you come back to it at later dates. You've done so many comparisons of like this reverb pedal with what you just got in or what you got in 2 years ago, and a lot of other channels don't do that. You're creating an entire series for us to see how this works in comparison, because going on Reddit and asking for comparisons amongst 4 different reverbs, that's helpful, but actually hearing it being done over a period of time, I think that's more valuable.
Oh, that's interesting. Most of the comparisons come from comments, again. There's just people asking how something would sound against another pedal, and that's kind of why I do a lot of. I also kind of try to organize them by like cost, because I think, if you're buying the marine layer, you have like a few $100 for a pedal. So the only comparisons you're really going to find useful are pedals in that price range, really. So what I do is, when I get a pedal in, I kind of try and find what pedals I have of the same effect in that price range and shoot comparisons like that. But I think comparisons are very useful, but it's also difficult because I compare how I would want to see them compared, but it's very hard to compare pedals fully because there's endless settings on pedals, and they all have their own little vibe. So it's quite hard to find a way to compare them in a very in-depth way. I try my best to do that, but I think I think a lot of people don't realize how unique each pedal is from the last pedal. Like, it's very interesting. Like, yeah, reverbs especially, like, and distortions and all that. Like, no, to be honest, all pedals, they're all very unique.
They are. And it makes the journey so much more interesting, right? When you pick up something that has a slightly different algo when it comes to shimmer, or this modulated verb has a little bit more thickness to it than the other one, right?
Yeah. Shimmer's a very interesting one because it's so easy to get wrong. And well, subjectively, in my opinion, it's so easy to get wrong. But sometimes a company can get it so good, like, it's really awesome. It's a love it or hate it effect for sure. I love, like, the New Neighbor shimmer. I think is really good. Like, that's probably one of my favorite shimmers, I think.
It is. That was a very well done one. Definitely. There's an art form to it when it comes to creating time-based effects. It's not just as simple as saying we're trying to replicate a spring reverb or a big hall. There really is a lot of someone's characteristics when it comes to developing and trying to improve on previously existing reverb types, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ryan, what would you say some of your musical influences are?
When I grew up, I was more of a heavy music kind of guy. Starting with the kind of bigger bands, I got into music after hearing, like, you know, Metallica or Linkin Park and things like that. Iron Maiden, so good. And then as time's gone on, I've just got more into other things. I listen to a lot of movie scores, more kind of ambient based stuff, a lot of electronic music, instrumental electronic music mostly. I don't know, I just like music. And then I'm into a lot of ska punk at the moment. I've been listening to a lot of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, that kind of thing. Nice. So I'm all over the place. Sometimes I'm listening to music and I'm like immersed in it, chilling out, and sometimes I'm, you know, dancing around the room to ska music. So I'm all over the place.
Hey, that's the best thing about music in modern eras, right? Is that you can listen to any genre at any time, and whatever vibe you're feeling at the time, it's right there to be soundtracked for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, moving on from musical influences, tell us a little bit about your ambient playing. Also, early on, from when I saw your earlier demos, I noticed that you were not one of the earliest, but definitely one of the more prolific ambient players during that time. And you weren't just trying to, like, make an ambient loop. You were taking your compositions into different places, not just what I've seen on YouTube, but also what you have featured on your Bandcamp. Links will be in the description below. But you really do look at this from an entire perspective of an art form. And I think what you create is really good. Could you please tell us a little bit more about your approach to music?
Yeah. With the ambient stuff, I don't know. I got, that was actually how I got into YouTube. The demos came after my early ambient stuff. Mainly I was building a pedal board, and then I saw people doing ambient things on YouTube. Andy Offling was a good one. I saw his stuff. He was like his introduction and his videos around the big sky. And I remember thinking, I need this pedal. And I got it. And it kind of changed how I was using my pedal board because it could become so ambient so quickly. And then it was actually 2 pedals that inspired me to start making ambient music. And starting the early videos, especially, which was the Electro-Harmonix Hog pedal, which is like a octave machine thing. And then the Big Sky. And you just do this thing where you crank the reverb on the Big Sky and then get the Hog to create like organ sounds or put like different intervals on what you're already playing. And you could create these massive sounds, or you could kind of, just make it a bit, to me, it just sounded more interesting, like less just like a guitar with reverb. So when I had my board with those, I started filming little improv pieces just to put on YouTube and share around and see if they kind of took off. And then that turned into making them like royalty free, so people could take them and use them in background music in videos. A few people have used them in like school projects and things like that. And I just kept kind of going with it. And then I tried to make it a bit more weird by doing it with acoustic guitar, which was good fun. And then, along the way, I think I've got more caught up in doing demos and less caught up in doing that. But I'm planning on returning to all of that stuff this year, getting a bit more ambient music out and getting more creative.
I'm looking forward to that. I really am.
Hopefully I've still got the ability to improv music for like 7 minutes. Well, it's going to be interesting.
It's actually a lot harder than I thought. When I would try to sit down to do something that was compelling over 3 to 5 minutes long, I realized that it's very different from when I'm just looping stuff in my basement by myself. So
it's a strange thing, because I don't know, a lot of my earlier videos, I was less interested in being perfect. I didn't really want to have things that were very I don't know, like polished. So I was just approaching it as someone who was, having fun in his bedroom recording guitar. Like some of the songs have me playing the wrong notes. Some of them have one of them, I think the mic cuts out for a second. I tried to hide it, but things like that. Like I just thought, I'm having fun with this, I'll upload it. And then, because I don't know, it's that thing when I started, I didn't think anyone but my friends or my mum would watch them, and then eventually people like them enough to put them in things, which is awesome. So when I come back to it, I'm going to be a bit more, I don't want to polish them too much, but I want to take them a bit more seriously than I did 5 years ago. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. Looking forward to that. This is when you started parting me from my hard-earned money.
I don't think I've ever demoed that, but I've demoed many like tape
delays, yes.
Yeah, tape delay emulations. But
and that's what started it. I actually didn't know what tape delay was until I came across your channel. I knew delay, dotted A, modulated delay, but I'm not much of a delay user. Mm-hmm. When you had your video on the Echo Machine, mm-hmm. and your subsequent videos, because for a period of time, your channel was the spot for, across any price point, any time-based effect. Like I even have Yeah, exactly. I've been picking up this Mosky Spring reverb. I went
Yeah,
for this tape delay. I have a DD20 sitting around. I like your RV 500, DD 500 videos, your Strymon stuff. You were really looking at these pedals not just from, hey guys, look, this is the most popular new pedal that everyone's using. This is the new Amazon pedal that everyone's talking about. It wasn't just what was trendy, and it wasn't just trying to get the views. At least like how I saw it. You were really looking at how this tool can help you with your compositions. And I think I owe you a lot, because the RE20 became a big part of my sound, and I use it on synthesizers, I've used it on vocals, I've used it all over the place, because I was able to like look at what you're doing with your channel and see that a pedal may be older, it may not have 1,000 knobs, it may only have 1 or 2 knobs, but if you take your time and you let your playing be absorbed by what the pedal can do, it will do more for you than trying to let the pedal dictate the direction that you want to go. So
cool.
I don't know. I really appreciate that.
I'm glad it helped.
Oh, thank you so much. But enough of the fanboying. We are on the topic of time-based effects. What does reverb and delay mean to you? They seem to be your favorite effects amongst the bunch.
My current board has like 3 delays and like 3 reverbs on it, so I think they mean a lot. I can tend to go a bit overkill, but I don't know. It's strange, because I think there's something about those types of effects that what's the best way to say it, brings out something in my guitar playing that I prefer about it, and I think other people like about it, and it's just, I don't know, it changes the way I play almost. It's like that thing where you get a pedal and it's almost telling you or inspiring you to play a different way. And I get that with practically every reverb or delay I plug in. I love it. So I think for me, they're just part of what I want my guitar playing to be. Does that make sense?
It does.
So, yeah, they elevate what I want to play, basically.
Are there any artists that use a lot of time-based effects that have maybe had a direct influence on your playing? The Edge, John Frusciante, players like that.
Oh, John Frusciante. I'm not so sure. I mean, starting off with ambient, with my approach to ambient guitar, I said before, it's Andy Othling was a very kind of my start into that whole world. I mean, before then, my heroes were like James Hetfield, and John Frusciante is definitely one. But they're not really, not that I can think of, very big on delay or reverb kind of thing. Mostly, I think I found the inspiration for using delays and reverbs in more kind of electronic music, and essentially trying to make the guitar something else. Does that make sense? Like, I was more inspired by synth players and things, so I could try and create pads on the guitar rather than being inspired by any particular guitarist. I think I was more inspired by just ambient music or film music, and trying to kind of get as close to that as I could on a guitar. Because back then I wasn't particularly good at playing keyboard, so I was just like, I want to play these keyboard parts, but I can only play guitar, so I'd rather use guitar.
That's me right now, except I'm not good at either. So what would you say your favorite pedals are? Like, maybe even not your favorite of all time, but a few that you find yourself coming back to or using a lot right now. And also, what guitars are you using?
Right, pedals. What am I using a lot? I always have an Electro Harmonics Hog on an ambient board. Although I'm thinking about upgrading to the 2, which I'm very nervous about because I don't want to be like, oh, I hate this one. So I always have that. I love that one. I love the New Neighbor Immerse. I've got the Mark 1. I think that's a great pedal. The Strymon, I actually only own the Big Sky and the Timeline. I've demoed a whole bunch of their stuff, but I don't actually own anything apart from those 2. Love those. What else do I use a lot? I'm loving the Boss MD 500, like the big modulation one, because there's something about it, because you can tell that Boss were trying to do what Strymon did. They even kind of copied the casings, if you know what I mean. They were trying to release like the Big Sky, Timeline, and Mobius, but Boss versions. What I really like about them is with the modulation one in particular, you can really kind of fine tune it or get it doing weird things. So I'm using that a lot. I can't think off the top of my head of any more that I'm using all the time. And guitars, I think I've only ever used three guitars consistently on my channel. And 2 of them are fairly recent. So the guitar I started with is an Ibanez, what's it called? An Art 320, I think it's called. It's like a Les Paul kind of shape, but it's a very, because I was into heavy metal music back then, it's more designed to be a heavy guitar. But I just used that for ambient music anyway, because it sounded good. Then I have a Fender Telecaster, made in Mexico one, which I use a lot now. And then I also have like a Strat, which I put together myself, like a partscaster thing. And that's probably, at the moment, that's the one I tend to pick up the most, just messing around with things. It's a really great guitar just to noodle on.
Nice. I started on Strats, and then I tried to move away from them because I found myself with 5 Strats, and the only variation was like one HSS model. And I think for maybe about 8 years or so, that also included a period where I wasn't playing. I didn't touch a single Strat. I went through Les Pauls, I went through SGs, I went through a lot of Tellies, and now I find myself with Nashville Telecasters.
Okay.
I'm trying to get back to the Strat because it's such an instrument where it's fun. Like your voice can come out through it. Like it's a guitar, you know what I mean? If I was stuck on a desert island and you gave me a Strat, I'd be okay with that. If you gave me a Les Paul, I would appreciate it, but then at some point I'd be wishing that I had a Strat.
Yeah, it's definitely a guitar that you can use over many different types of genres of music and make it kind of sound. It sounds like it belongs there. But yeah, I think mainly I have that thing where I'm really enjoying this partscaster Strat because I put it together. I feel a bit more comfortable playing it. I mean, the other day I was playing it and it just completely broke, and I was like, whoa. And then if that had happened with any other guitar, I'd have freaked out. But because I put that together, I just think, okay, I'll just take it apart and try and figure out what was wrong with it. Whereas my other guitars, I'm a bit more don't die kind of thing.
Combustible Strats, all right.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It's an interesting instrument.
It is. What do you think about FX going into the 20s? When I look at all the new modeling systems out there, I look at something like the Boss Katana, which I actually happen to be sitting on right now as a chair, makeshift chair.
They're useful that way.
It is. Oh yes, it is. Multifaceted. But yeah, like I find guitar much more accessible than at any other point, and I can see it becoming more and more accessible. But what about FX? We have so many different companies that are making plugins for your DAW. We have so many different companies coming out with different styles of effects or like reissuing older effects at an affordable and a smaller scale. I don't know what direction you can possibly even go. I don't know if there's any new effects that could be made. I don't know how pedal boards will change. It just, I don't know. I'm excited for the future of it, but speechless as to what may come about.
Yeah, there's been a lot happening in the last few years because I forget what year it was, but people call it like the pedal boom year. I think it was 2017. And everyone was buying pedals and stuff. I think I think the kind of future of it all will be just kind of, there's two things I'm excited for. One is like patches and patch sharing, which I think is really good because a lot of the new modelers that are coming out have the ability for you to save a patch and create a whole sound and then just share it with a friend and they can put it on their modeler and they'll have the same sound. I think that's really interesting. It's going to be very interesting for the guitar community because this stuff has existed in plugins for a long time, like having patches and stuff, but it seems to be going more into the guitar community. And there's a lot of forums on, Facebook or online where people are sharing patches and enjoying each other's sounds and being more creative and things like that. In terms of pedal boards, I think it's going to be interesting because it's two worlds colliding, isn't it? It's like the new digital world. And then you've got kind of people who like their pedals, digital or analog. They just like having their own little pedals and they can't really share patches on gear from the 70s or whatever. So it's going to be an interesting, I think the things that are going to be most interesting about the future in terms of pedals and stuff will be how companies work around mixing new ideas with old stuff. That's what I'm most excited for. Like a lot of the switches that come out now where you can, you've got MIDI and then it also switches loops and stuff. Like the gig rig stuff looks so awesome. Like they're thinking about how to please everyone. And in doing so, they're coming up with these cool ideas and new ways to keep things flowing. It's interesting. But yeah, I guess I'm excited for all that as well. Like especially modelers. I think modelers are going to be interesting over the next 10 years. So I think it's finally going to put to bed this argument of the real thing is way better. It's just like, modelers have been getting better for so long that sooner or later they are going to be, in a sense, indistinguishable. And I think that's going to be an interesting time because you're just going to have a lot of people being like, no, there is a difference when then loads of videos on YouTube, like blindfold challenges, and people will just not know what's being played.
Exactly.
It's interesting. It'll be fun to see.
That's how I kind of feel with like pickups. Before I think of all the time that I invested into trying to like seek out this sound and like, does this work out with my amp properly, and am I really pushing it well with this clean boost or this dirty boost? And then like nowadays, I honestly don't think I've heard a bad set of pickups off of any production guitar in at least 5 years. Everything that's being, it's not creating for other people, but you're creating for yourself. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice when you're trying to find how different things are instead of just accepting how far they have come and how much easier it is for you to create what is stuck in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think is so valuable about modelers as well, because you get everything. You get reverbs, delays, modulations, overdrives, different amps. So essentially it gets more people started with guitar, which I think is very useful. And the idea that people can then make something who've just started playing guitar and then share it with their friends and stuff. It's a whole new thing for guitar. And I think I don't know, it makes guitar a bit more exciting. Like at the moment, I'm doing a bunch of stuff with a company called New X, and they've asked me to make patches for things, and I've been making a few patches for one of their new modelers, and it's just, you sit down with it, and then you're just like, what can I make this thing do? And then it's kind of nice knowing that you spend time on something, you put it away, but then other people are downloading it, having fun with it, and I like that. I like the kind of, it's more of an interactive experience rather than just making a video that's your sound, uploading it, and having people go, well, that's really cool. It's like, well, now they can download it and play it and change it. I think that's really fun, really interesting way of changing the guitar pedal experience kind of thing.
I didn't think of it like that, but you're right. It does offer a new area to it. But like you were saying, New X, they have some great products. I like a lot of their stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what you make with them. And even like Gig Rig, as you said earlier, like I'm so excited about all of these like new, just new areas for us to explore. It keeps the guitar interesting. I have a few more questions for you.
Yeah, go for it.
How many pedals do you have at the moment? Roughly.
Christ. In here, I probably have over 100, I think. Because I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I tend to keep things, and when I shouldn't anyway, which my friends and family are just like, seriously, why do you have this stuff? But I always use the excuse with pedals. I'm just like, well, I might need that for a comparison someday, and then I end up having way too many. But yeah, I'd probably say around 100 in here, something like that.
Wow, that's
a bit nuts. It's a bit nuts.
I thought I was pushing a little bit too much with my shelf, but let me just push my shelf in the corner. It's to you. 3 pedals that you can't live without. Doesn't matter if there's a better version that comes out on a modeler, you'll always come back to these 3 pedals.
These 3 pedals. Electro Harmonics, Hog, Strymon Big Sky, and I'll say the Electro Harmonics Memory Man.
Memory Man. Why the Memory Man?
Do I still have it out? No, I don't know where it is. I bought one on eBay or something years ago, like an old 90s version. And just every time I plug it in, I play for about an hour and a half because I just can't just plug it in, play for 10 minutes and then put it away. I have to like explore it. I don't know what it is. It's probably the oldest piece of gear I have in here that I really enjoy playing. Like a lot of people say, oh, older stuff is always good, is always amazing. Sometimes you get an older bit of equipment and it doesn't sound particularly great. Whereas that thing, Christ, it sounds amazing.
I've never played a real Memory Man before.
Oh, really?
Never. And I've always wanted to. My bandmate had one, but obviously coronavirus, so I haven't been able to even like attempt to try it. And I've obviously played a lot of like the emulations, but like, and no, I don't know any other version of it. But I feel like if I ever got myself a Memory Man, that would be it. I wouldn't want any other delay. I would get lost in it because everyone has the same sentiments that you have about it. It's just an amazing piece of kit.
Well, you had you have the Boss tape delay pedal. The what's it? RE20, isn't it? Something like that.
The RE20.
What I find really cool is every kind of type of delay has their kind of signature pedal, if you know what I mean. So granted, that's not it's emulated off of a tape unit, isn't it? Like a big Roland Space Echo thing. But when I think of tape delay, I think of green. I think of that green color. And when I think of analog delay, I think of the Memory Man. So I think, yeah, if I had one of those Roland Space Echoes, I think I'd be like, yep, that's definitely something that I'm never putting away.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that. Let's trade. I'll trade you mine and you trade me yours.
Let's do it.
On the topic of favorites, I wanted to show like quickly my favorites as well.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So obviously the Space Echo. I have a thing for phaser. I don't know why, but I feel that phaser, even though it's very popular now, I grew up with Smashing Pumpkins. That's my mom's, one of her favorite bands. That's my favorite band. And even before I knew what a phaser was, something about the swirliness and the motion of that effect, it just did something for me. And like the Empress phaser, it kind of ended that journey for me. I've gone through so many phasers. I have like maybe a half dozen. I've gone through a half dozen others. It's such an incredible effect. And I find it sits very well with a lot of obviously like reverbs and delays, but yeah, for me definitely that. And I guess like this chorus pedal, I also have a thing for the 80s. It's not great, but I love the 80s, and I love the JHS Emperor. It does a lot for me when it comes to like just like modulation, and I feel like that like this also kind of paused my look for like what works for me. Let me try 8 different analog choruses, because I'm sure like this subtle difference will be enough to get me through this songwriting patch. As soon as I got this, I just became a lot more prolific and just more focused.
Okay, that's the JHS pedal.
Yeah, the Emperor V2.
Oh, okay, I have to try those out.
Chorus vibrato.
Interesting. I have a really bad track record with phasers. I think I love phaser pedals, but for some reason I don't demo that many. I remember like 4, so not that many. I've got a MXL one of the orange block things, and then I think the only other phasers I have are like pedals trying to be that pedal. So I've got the little what they K-Mize one, and I've got a Behringer one, all the one knob phaser thing. Other than that, I can't think of many phasers that I have. When in modulation, I'm much more of a chorus guy. I have lots of chorus pedals.
Can't go wrong with chorus.
Yeah, it creates I don't know what it is. I think it's that thing. If you can put it on your sound, and it just thickens it a bit. Like it doesn't have to be that whoop 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 whoop, whoop kind of thing. And I don't know. Don't know why I lean more into chorus.
I use chorus on all of my synths as well. I've been using it on like backup vocals as well. Like it's such a great effect. I don't know why anyone ever grew tired of it. I think you just have to know how to dial it in. But like I use more chorus and overdrive nowadays.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
Yeah. But for phasers, your Behringer demo, there was a time when I think it's called the VP. Is it the VP one, the vintage phaser one? I think it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was like the best demo of that pedal on the internet for some time, and like you couldn't find that pedal online like to purchase, because I guess they were like backlogged for like 6 months or whatever. And I remember like going on like different forums, and everyone would link to like that video. They're like, oh, this is like really one of the better videos showing like the comparison, or like just getting a vibe for what this phaser is. So
really?
There was a time. Now it's been a few years, and like I'm actually so surprised to see, like, for example, I have somewhere down here the SF300, I think, and for it's that fuzz pedal, the FC2 clone. For so long, no one thought about like picking up on it or using it. The UV300 vibrato, also from Behringer. Like these are great pedals, fantastic clones, and like I use them in a lot of my compositions. But for some time, they weren't really spoken about. But now it's like every channel, every demoer is talking about like, can it chug the SV300? Oh, listen to this warbliness from the UV300. So you never know when your videos will finally pick up years after the fact. Yeah,
it's really strange, the Behringer pedals especially, because I would always look on like eBay or any local selling thing, and just if anyone was selling a pedal, what I tended to do was just buy it. And I bought some of those Behringers for like stupidly little. Like I bought their reverb, the RV 600, for like a few pounds, like £5 or something. And then, now they're a little harder to come by. When you go on eBay, you'll see them for like £50-60. And I was just like, it's really strange. The fuzz is an interesting one because I think talking about JHS, like they did a Behringer video. And I woke up one morning and my views had gone through the roof. And I was like, what has happened? And it was because Josh made a video of Behringer. And I guess in a way, because I was picking up all these Behringers, I got there quite before he did that video. And as a result, I just, go on YouTube one morning and my views have like tripled, all because he made a video on Behringer and then people were searching the Behringer videos. And then, so I was just like, interesting.
Crazy how that happens. The magic of YouTube. Thanks, Josh.
Funny. Yeah, exactly. It's funny thinking about it from his point of view, because he's just like, I'll just make a video on Behringer. And then everyone else who's done videos on Behringer is just like, whoa, like it's very strange how YouTube works like that. Someone does something and then it has a ripple effect through other videos, which is kind of nice. It's it's always surprising. You have a mini like heart attack because you kind of worry that you'll log onto your YouTube one day and there'll just be no views whatsoever, but because it can all change quite quick.
On that topic, I have a few questions left, but this was a very important one that I was hoping that we could talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice not only for ambient artists but also YouTubers? Because like as you're saying, the fact that the content you put out is evergreen, you never know when these videos will blow up, or they'll blow up multiple times throughout the course of their life on your channel. But there are also many demoers that have a lot of videos and maybe they don't change their content to reach a larger audience, or maybe even like not just like with pedalwares but with anything else that involves YouTube. They're doing something for so long and they never have that video blow up. They never have the engagement the same way like your subscribers ask you to do different styles of videos and stuff. Like, what advice would you have to not just creatives but YouTubers or anyone who puts their content out online?
I think the most important thing is that you enjoy doing it. You've got to have a drive and an interest in it. Then once you have that and then motivation to keep creating, I think there's a few things that can really help. One is talking to people, socializing with your audience and taking feedback from your audience. And then another is to schedule it, like treat it more like work in a weird way. Like you just, set yourself some targets and kind of, like do one video a week or one video a fortnight. But if you do loads of work at once and then leave it for ages because you burn yourself out, then you're not going to keep the momentum. I think it's very important to keep a momentum going and kind of, so scheduling and communication with your viewers, I think are the biggest kind of things to keep it going and keep it growing. But my channel is a bit strange because a lot of my views are driven from searches. And I think that's mainly because I was demoing stuff fairly early before there was a big pedal boom. But I think since I've started since coronavirus has happened and I've been scheduling videos a lot more frequently, I've definitely seen a massive improvement in views and content engagement and things like that. So I honestly, I think no matter how big you are, if you're just starting or you're kind of already there, scheduling stuff and talking to people is the best thing to do.
Thank you. I'll take that advice to heart as well. Ryan, this was a great interview. It was very eye-opening. There was a lot to take away, and there's a lot for me to think about, and I'm sure that your demos will help soundtrack that.
Thank you very much.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you once again. There will be links in the description below, everybody. I appreciate everyone for coming out. And Ryan Lutton, thank you so much. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
Anything that I'd like to plug? Just my YouTube channel. That's the main place you'll find me. So youtube.com/Ryan Lutton.
Sounds good. Everyone, this was Kero Riri Paddle. Thank you for coming by. Take care.